Good morning. Good morning to each of you. I am Dr. Corrine Johnson, and I would like to welcome each of you on this morning to Grace for Today 5 Minute Devotions. And on this morning, our subject is going to be Avoid Spiritual Drift. And our key scripture is going to be coming from Hebrews chapter 2, verse 1. And I'm going to be reading it from the Message Bible. And it says, it's crucial that we keep a firm grip on what we've heard so that we don't drift off. And so, what are you doing to remember the lessons that God has taught you? Because as we grow into spiritual mature believers, you will have to learn perseverance. And so this means believing that God is working in your life even when you don't feel like he's working in your life. And there are seasons in your spiritual life. And sometimes you will have a short, intense birth of growth. And I like to call that the spring season of your life. And then that spring season may be followed by a period of stabilizing and testing. And I call that the fall and winter season. So, what would it look like for you to keep a firm grip on your faith so that you don't drift during those seasons? Well, every day, you got to make sure that you are giving your problems to God. And it's okay, to pray for a miracle, but don't be disappointed if the answer comes through a gradual change. The answer may come over time. A slow, steady stream of water will erode the hardest rock and turn giant boulders into pebbles. And so over time, a little sprout can turn into a giant redwood tree, right? And so keep a notebook or a journal of all the lessons that you've learned. This is not a diary now of events, but it's going to be a record of what you are learning. Write down the insights and lessons that God teaches you about Himself, about yourself, relationships, and everything else. And you want to record these so that you can review and remember them. And so if you don't remember, you'll have to relearn it. So reviewing your spiritual journal regularly can spare you a lot of unnecessary pain and heartache. And so I want to encourage you to know, that as you're growing, into spiritual maturity, you're going to begin to go through different seasons of your life. But as you begin to write down those difficult seasons in your life, don't just write down the difficult seasons, but when God brings you through it, go back and write down, leave some space up under, whatever situation you may be going through, leave some space up under it so you can go back and begin to journal how God answered that specific particular prayer, or how God gave you breakthrough in that particular area. And then that way, when you go through something else, you can use this journal to look back and see the faithfulness of God in your life. Just the other day, I was sitting in my car, at a restaurant, and I was waiting to get to the drive through, and I just began to think about some things that God had delivered me from, some breakthroughs that God had allowed me to experience in my life. And as I was thinking about it, I was thinking about how when I was going through it, it didn't feel good to my flesh, and I was ready and in a hurry to come up out of that season. But let me encourage you that whatever season that you're in right now, don't be in such a big hurry to get out of it, because you got to understand that even in seasons of difficulty, that God is trying to teach us something. And if we will learn it, then we won't have to go all the way back around and through it again. And so avoid spiritual drift on this morning and keep a grip on what you have learned so that you don't drift off. Make sure that you want to keep moving towards spiritual maturity and learning everything that God is trying to teach you during seasons of testing. And so on this morning, thank you all so much for tuning in and joining with me for Grace for Today 5-minute devotions. And it is my prayer that you will go forth on today and have a great day.